Hey friends, Sleepy here, and welcome to an episode of my weekly playlist. It's Friday, which means it's time for me to share with you guys the games I've been playing during the week, give you guys my thoughts and opinions on the games, whether I think you guys should check them out or not. I'd like to hear about the games you guys are playing, as that always gives me ideas of new games to check out. And I really appreciate everybody who has been sharing the games they play with me during these episodes. I have gotten a lot of ideas of new games to check out, so keep those coming. I'm always looking for suggestions. You guys have also suggested some really good games over the past couple of years of me doing this, so keep those suggestions coming. I'm always looking for new games to play and experience that I may have forgot about, might not have known about, or never got a chance to play. So keep those suggestions coming. We've got two games to share with you guys this week. One for Xbox 360 and one for Xbox One. And the first one here is for 360 is one I've been working on the last couple of weeks. A little bit of playtime here and there, as I just have other things going on in life. But that is Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine, which this game is awesome. Huge fan of this game. I've just been getting into the Warhammer 40,000 universe the past like 6 months, and starting to do some research and stuff and get into how in depth the lore for this universe is. It's absolutely massive and huge. And this was a game that I had back in the day that I had played, but didn't really pay attention that it was actually a Warhammer 40,000 game. It just was a game that was really fun to play. So now I've gone back and started playing it from the beginning again because I completely forgot the story and everything. I actually just recently got picked up the strategy guide for this last week, and I decided to start my story over to find the missing collectibles, as the game does have a bunch of different little collectibles to find. And what was really great is to find that the game actually keeps the collectibles you already found, even if you restart the game, so you don't have to recollect them again. So that was really awesome. Really fun game. Highly recommend you guys definitely give this one a try. It's on PC, it's on Xbox 360 and PS3. Sadly, this is not backwards compatible with Xbox One, which really sucks. It would have been awesome to play this on the Xbox One with some updated visuals, as the Xbox One does upscale it and does give it better performance. Overall, though, this game does work very well on the Xbox 360. I haven't really noticed any slowdown, even in like super intense combat situations that you'll find yourself in. Now, this game is a third-person shooter slash hack and slash, as you have guns, different kind of guns you can shoot with, but you also have melee weapons, and you have to switch between them seamlessly in combat, which is nice. You can start shooting your gun, and then you can instantly change over to your melee weapon to attack enemies, because they will rush you and stuff. So it's something I really like, that there's a nice little combination of the two. Really reminds me a lot of Gears of War, with the visual style, the art, the look, design of the characters. Just kind of gives me that Gears of War vibe, which is never a bad thing. Except it doesn't have any cover, so it's not going to get Gears of War as far as getting the cover or not, but it still has that aesthetic to it, and some like gameplay elements of how Gears of War is as a shooter, because this is third person, so it's really cool. And then you add in that whole hack and slash part of it, where you can fight with melee, because you'll fight a variety of different enemies. Which at the beginning of the game, you start fighting orcs, which is cool. It has a badass intro into how the game starts, which is just really cool. The music too in this game is phenomenal. There's some like heavy metal, but there's a variety of other kind of music too. Some like dark and depressing music, and then that heavy metal upbeat music that goes when you're into intense combat situations, which is great. So there's just a nice balance of that. Voice actors are done great. They have wonderful people they pick to voice these characters. Like, they fit the characters very well. So you have a variety of those, which is great. You eventually do run into the Chaos Space Marines that you fight as well. So you have two different factions that you'll be fighting in this game, which is really cool. So I'm looking forward to getting that as you get further into the story. The game is broken up into 5 different acts, which is kind of like Gears of War. And then also you have several chapters within each act as well. So that's what really reminds me of like Gears of War, just the way how that is. It has a really good story. And then, of course, it's linear, but it progresses, from point A to point B as you go through the story and start learning more about what's going on. So it's really cool. I'm having an absolute blast with this game now. I'm about halfway, I think, through the first act of the game, and it's one that I'm looking forward to beating. People said it's about a 10 to 12 hour game, depending on the difficulty setting, because there are, your easy, your normal, and your like hard difficulty. I'm just on the normal difficulty setting, and I have not had any issues yet with dying, but I had gotten pretty close because this game does not do regenerative health or health packs. What it does is something unique to it is you actually have to execute enemies in the heat of battle, and that'll actually refill your health. And how you do that is by stunning your enemies with the Y button. They'll have a little orb above their head to indicate that they're stunned, and then you push the B button. You can do a different kinds of executions, which is cool. Sometimes um, Titus, which I forgot to mention, the main character's name is Captain Titus, so he's a badass ultra space marine. He will sometimes take enemies, pick them up in the air, slam them to the ground, and then curb stomp their heads. So that's another thing I really like about this game is it's ultra violent, blood, guts, gore, cutting people in half. It's just awesome. It's just over the top violent and gritty, which is great because that's how the world of Warhammer 40,000 is. So that's something I really love. But you execute enemies and you get your health back, and you have different melee weapons. Like you start out with just like a little basic sword weapon, but eventually you get a chainsaw sword. I know there's some war hammers and stuff you can find, so it's just really cool to have a variety of those. You have a little infinite pistol, but then later on you get your bolter, which is a staple in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Then you also can get a heavy bolter. There's some submachine guns, flamethrowers, sniper rifles, which is cool. And then you also can change different weapons as you have a little weapon wheel with the D-pad. You can change different kind of weapons. Now the guy, just besides the pistol, all do have ammo, which you do have to find. There's also grenades in the game, which are great for clearing crowds, which you also have to find spread throughout the world. And then, of course, I talked about how there are collectibles, which are little audio clips that give you some insight into the planet you're fighting on, the Forge world of the humans there. And you get to see what has happened there before you got there. As an ultramarine, you're going there to help save the planet from the orc invasion, which has said there's millions of orcs and there's hundreds of soldiers there. So it's really cool. Real gritty, violent, and just a really fun game. I think you guys should check out. Like I said, it's on 360, it's on PS3, it's also on the PC. Highly recommend you guys give this one a chance. Check it out. I'm having a blast with it, and I can't wait to beat this one. Looking forward to getting it beat here. Definitely check it out, guys. And the other one here is one that I have not played since 2019. I looked up when my last save file was from, so it's been a few years now. But this is a game that I really loved, and I wanted to continue my journey in that, and that is Shadows Awakening, which is actually a sequel to a PC-only Shadows Heretics of the Kingdom or something like that, which I did not know that this was a sequel to a game. This game is really fun. It's one of those isometric action RPGs, which I absolutely love. So, it plays like the Baldur's Gate, Dark Alliance, and the Champions of Norath games. Graphics are amazing, especially because it's on Xbox One, and you can also get it on PC. And I believe you can also get this on PS4. What I really like about this game is that it's a little different than your traditional action RPG games, as you actually play as a character that's called a Devourer, who is actually a demon, and there's actually two worlds you play in: a shadow world, which he exists in, and then the mortal world. And what's really cool is he actually consumes the souls of the characters that you play as, and then he takes control of them. So it's really cool. At the beginning of the game, you get to choose from three different characters. You have three different classes. You have your warrior class that uses swords and axes and shields, and they're the big brutes of the world. Then you have your hunters, which are guys that use stealth and they use bow and arrows and stuff. And then you also have your mage class, which use their magic stuff. And so you can actually have up to 3 puppets, as they're called in the game, along with Devour at one time, as you can create different parties, which is something that's really cool and unique about this game. Is you don't have to play as just one character. You actually get to play as 4 characters at a time. And as you progress through the story, you actually unlock new characters, and sometimes you unlock them by actually fighting bosses and defeating them, and then they can become a puppet for you. And I'll read you guys the back here. So, consume the souls of 14 playable characters, each with their own skill set. Complex puzzles are scattered throughout the game to challenge your skills. Combine skills of your characters to maximize their effectiveness in battle, which is cool, combining them. Witness a gripping storyline in a world full of myths, destinies, and legendary creatures. Seamlessly switch between the world of shadows and the mortal plane, which is cool. You just use the RB and LB buttons to switch between characters, which is great. You're able to level up all your characters with different traits in them. You can attributes for the strengths and stuff, but then they each have their own unique skill sets, which you can use, where some of them are magic users. Some of them are going to have warriors and your hunters, so it's really cool to have a variety of characters. Now, there are some parts in the story where you have a choice between 1 to 2 characters, and you can't have both of them in one playthrough, so there are some characters you can't get, and there are some characters, obviously, that are better than others. Now, I'm a big fan of mage characters, so I do like playing as a mage, but I also like to have a hunter character with me and a warrior character with me. As you play through the story, you unlock different enemies that you're going to be fighting, and they get tougher as you go through, and sometimes you have to change up your strategy and tactic because some enemies can really destroy one of your characters, so you might have to switch to another one, which each character has their own health bar, which is awesome. And you can seamlessly switch with them by hitting the RB and LB. So if a character is real quick to die, you can instantly switch to another character, and the other character disappears, and your new character jumps right in at the thing, which is great. Some of the characters can actually summon pets, which is cool too, like a golem. You can summon ghost wolves and stuff, so it's really cool. There's werewolves in the game, zombies, spiders, skeletons, wraiths, demons. It's really cool. There's just so many different kinds of enemies to fight, and enemies, um, bosses to encounter, and allies that you run into. There's a lot of main stories, that quests to play through. You also have side quests to get through. They actually added 2 DLCs to this game, which were actually on sale this week for $2 each, so I bought both of those. And when you complete them, you actually unlock another playable character, which brings it up to 16 playable. And I actually just beat one of the first DLCs. The second one doesn't come until later in the game, which I'm on chapter 3, and I think he comes in chapter 4 or 5, so later in the game, which is cool, having extra little DLC in the game, which you have a few extra missions and some new characters to play as, which I do like the variety of characters you have, and being able to change your parties, which the Devourer can do in the Demon World. You'll find these little green crystal areas on the various maps that you can go through, and then that's where you can actually change the party that you want to have compromise. Maybe you want to have 2 mages with you, but me, I like to have a variety, have all 3 different play styles available at once, along with the Devourer. Now, when you're playing as a Devourer in the Shadow World, you can see the characters, the NPCs in the characters world, but they look like ghosts, kind of like kind of half visible, invisible, blue little specters on the world, and you can't talk to them or interact with them, and they don't move at all because you're in the Shadow Realm. But you can actually affect some of them, especially if they're enemies. You can knock off a shield off of them, or you can actually use his ability like for freezing, and you can freeze him, and then switch back to the mortal world and use your characters to fight him. There are also enemies that you can only fight in the Shadow World, which is really cool. So you'll find yourself switching between the Shadow World and the mortal world quite a few times as you explore through a level, because you may want to go through the entire level as a Devourer, and then you want to switch back to the mortal world and clean up through all the enemies, because it gives you experience, and all your characters level up at the same time, which is great. I'm currently at level 12, almost level 13, and which is great is that the enemies actually scale with you, so you'll start encountering enemies about a level above you. And so it keeps the game from being too easy, but it also keeps the game from being too hard, because you're not going against guys that are like 50 levels above you or anything. So that's something I really like about the game, is keeping that fair balance. Of course, you have your easy, your normal, and your harder difficulty. Again, I'm just on my normal difficulty setting, and something that's really fun. You also do have a little karma system in this game too, where you can make choices that are good, kind of neutral, or kind of are evil, and that'll affect your karma points that you unlock by the different ways you are. You can be greedy, where you can demand more money from a merchant, or you can be like, no, dude, you keep your money, and then that'll make you be more of a lighter character, so more into the light. So it's just something that's really fun. So if you guys are a fan of these isometric action RPGs, definitely give Shadow's Awakening a try, as I was really surprised. I didn't know anything about this game, just picked it up at GameStop a few years ago. It was on sale, and it just looked kind of cool. I'm a big fan of these isometric action RPG games. I just can't get enough of them. And I was just so surprised how it sets itself apart from other games in the genre. I've never had a game where you play as a demon and can switch to characters in a mortal world. So you have basically 2 games in one, and different kind of mechanics and stuff. Music in this is just amazing. Again, another game with really good voice actors too. I really love the people they picked to voice the characters. They really set well. The music can be, upbeat at times. It can be kind of down and depressed. It can be dark and eerie when you're in caves, and you're in bunkers, and you're in all kinds of different environments. You got snow levels, desert worlds, you've got forests and stuff, you've got different caves to explore, tombs, you know, it's just really cool ancient ruins. Like, there's a nice variety to the levels and designs as well. There's also traps to encounter and secrets to find. Of course, you have loot again in these games where you can change all kinds of different pieces of loot, where you can wear rings, you can wear armor, boots, helmets, you have gloves and stuff. Now, of course, some characters can't wear everything, and there's some pieces that are specific to different characters. You also have different shops available in the world where you can buy and sell, which is cool. And of course, you have a different status for, you know, like legendary, rare, your common, uncommon. So there are different colors like that are in typical of these games, where the better tier weapons you find, you know, the better weapon it is. And sometimes there's also level specifics for weapons. You might find one, but you're not high enough level to use it yet, which is cool. You also can enchant weapons to make them stronger, to do more attacks against certain enemies. You have different resistance you can use. You have magic you can cast. You know, it's just a really fun game that I think you guys should definitely check out. We'll do our quick little recap like we do all week. You know, I've been talking about Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine. This is a fantastic game set in an amazing universe that I am recently been getting into, and it's one that I am absolutely having a blast, and I definitely think you guys should check it out. This is a third-person action adventure, third-person shooter hack and slash game, kind of like a combination in one. Visuals kind of remind me of Gears of War. This doesn't have a cover system like Gears of War, but kind of plays similar as a third person. But you also have that melee combat you can use in there, a variety of enemies to fight. Great voice acting, music, everything about this game is phenomenal. Definitely check it out. And then we also talked about Shadows Awakening, an awesome action RPG that has set itself apart from other action RPGs, because you actually are a demon called a Devourer, and you actually consume the souls of the characters you play as, and you actually have a shadow world to play as the Devourer, but then you have the mortal world to play as up to 3 different mortal characters you can switch by any time, and then you can change your party as you play through the story. You unlock more characters, and you go through, and different characters will actually interact with the different ones you have. So you may have to bring a certain character to a different area to unlock a different mission, or to have a different response from the characters in the world. So the different NPCs you run into, you know, will treat different characters differently, which is something that's really cool and interesting aspect to the game that sets itself apart from other action RPGs. Highly recommend you guys check out Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine and Shadows Awakening. Both are fantastic games. I'm having an absolute blast playing through. Let me know your guys' thoughts on these games, whether you played either of these. I'd also like to hear about the games you guys are currently playing, and if you have any suggestions on a game you think I should check out, let me know, as you guys always do recommend really fun titles. I want to thank you guys for watching. Take care. You guys have an amazing day, and Sleepy will see you next time.